briefing tonight, we're learning just how much worse the mass shooting at Stoneman Douglas could have been.
CBS 4 News has learned that a firearm malfunction may have been one of the factors that ended the massacre when it did.
Our investigative reporter Jim DeFede is here now with the new details he's learned. Jim?
Folks, while it was hard to imagine, the carnage at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High could have been far worse. An official briefed on the shooting investigation tells CBS 4 News that investigators believe Cruz planned on using a vantage point in the third-floor stairwell to shoot at students as they fled the building. This video from Chopper 4 on the day of the shooting shows that window. And in order to create this sniper's nest, Cruz attempted to shoot out the glass window in the stairwell, firing 16 rounds into the impact glass. Luckily, the hurricane-proof windows did not shatter. You can see the bullet holes in the video. Cruz then attempted to reload, and after changing magazines, the weapon is believed to have jammed. Frustrated, Cruz dropped the gun on the stairwell and fled, blending in with other students. Sources say he still had more than 150 rounds of ammunition left when he exited the building. The fact that the gun may have jammed while he was changing clips is one of the reasons why Senator Marco Rubio announced he was reconsidering his ban on high-capacity magazines.
I believe that there will be evidence that at a key moment in this incident, three or four people might be alive today because of something that this deranged killer had to do.
In addition, CBS News has now confirmed that carved into the ammunition clips were Nazi symbols, including swastikas.
Well, Jim, it was a very busy and emotional day in Tallahassee where you had some of the survivors from the school, and also parents and other leaders were there, local leaders in South Florida. And we have a bite here from the father of one of the victims, 14-year-old Alex Schachter. His father spoke very emotionally. Listen to what he said.
While the proposed bill does not meet all of my goals, the components of the bill would have saved my little boy Alex. And if we would have had these measures in place, I would not have to have buried my son next to his mother a week and a half ago. I'm standing here asking for your help. I'm pleading for your help. I'm willing to compromise. Are you?
All right, there's two things here, the way I see it, Jim. There's more school security. There's also tougher gun control measures. Where's the tougher gun control measures going to go? So
let's talk about what most people have been considering, the assault weapons ban. That's what a lot of the students and parents were calling for. Here's where that now stands in Tallahassee. Yesterday, the Senate took a vote on the assault weapon ban. It failed. So there's no assault weapon ban in the Senate. This morning, the House also took a vote. A House committee took a vote. It also rejected an assault weapon ban, pretty much on party lines. However, I will say one Republican from Palm Beach County broke ranks and voted for an assault weapons ban. That's unheard of normally in Tallahassee.
Yeah, but still they didn't get that done. So what did they get done?
So the bill that is now working its way through the House, and this was passed by a fairly large margin, 23-11 is I believe the final vote. It does several things. One, it would raise the limit, or rather the age limit on when to buy a gun from 18 to 21. There would be a 3-day waiting period on buying an assault weapon like this. It would create a program called, I think the way they're calling it, the Marshall Plan, which would allow for teachers, certain teachers who are well trained, to carry weapons. Now, I just want to give you a little bit more detail on this plan. It would provide potentially a $500 stipend to teachers. The goal is to have 10 teachers in every school be eligible to carry a firearm. You're talking about 37,000 teachers across the state of Florida, even though many of the parents from Parkland said they did not want that to happen.
And the governor has said that he doesn't think it's a good idea to arm teachers, and yet a lot of Republicans in Tallahassee and President of the United States say that they think that this is a viable way forward, a good solution for this. So what happens if a bill ends up on the desk of Governor Scott and it includes this idea for a Marshall Plan arming teachers? Will he veto it? Will he sign it?
Well, the governor was in town today and he was asked that very question. Would he sign a bill that included arming teachers? He said that he would look at the bill, did not say one way or the other whether or not he would veto it. I've talked to a number of Republican leaders in both the House and the Senate, and they're both confident that if this bill passes and it reaches his desk, the governor would in fact sign a bill that would allow teachers to be armed. And you think they'll remove the signs that say gun-free zones from schools? Well, again, I think that there would still be a prohibition from each county, the school districts. I don't think that you would be allowed as a student, even if you were 18 years old, told to bring a gun. So theoretically, it would still be a gun-free zone, except for those who were designated and trained to carry guns.
Okay, Jim, thanks a lot.